Hi everybody, my name is Amy. I'm a trainee solicitor living and working in London. I'm also a brand new LCN Vlogger and I'm here to bring you videos on a monthly basis on all things law, working as a trainee solicitor, living and working in London, and anything else that you guys want to see. So do feel free to pop in the comments at the very end of this video what it is that you want to see, and I will bring you videos on those particular topics. So I thought it would make sense that my first video was an introduction to my journey into law. So I am very much one of those stereotypical people who say they wanted to be a lawyer from a very, very young age. I do believe that's true. I was very much between being a lawyer and a vet, and I did work experience at a veterinary centre in year 10, and that sort of cemented my decision for me. Being a vet was not for me, but my initial introduction to law started when I attended a mock trial competition in year 9 with my high school. So I was quite a shy kid, which is quite funny now when you see me do these kinds of videos, but I was very shy and I really struggled with my confidence, and being a part of the mock trial meant that I was working as a team, and then I had to, as the lead speaker, present the findings of my case to a room full of people. And obviously at first that was very, very scary and such an alien concept to me, but straight away I realised that this was something I really enjoyed. It kind of felt like acting. I was able to go into the courtroom not being a confident person and really come into my own. So that was my first introduction to law. After that I decided, okay, this is seriously something I want to consider, and I decided it was the best way to do that was to go to open days and law fairs. So I attended the Liverpool Open Day, and there was a number of law firms there, and they were really interesting because I really got to understand what other firms were like, how they differed, because lots of firms have their own policies, their own cultures, their own values, and actually you only really fully experience that getting to know people who work for the firm on a daily basis. And I think what was super helpful about the law fairs was I didn't have any idea how to even get into law. I come from a working class background. I'm the first in my generation to go to university, so it's very much an alien concept to me. So being able to sit down with people who not only knew the path into law, but I was actually currently wearing the t-shirt, was super interesting and extremely helpful. And I actually left those law fairs with a clearer idea as to what was needed to break into law. I then decided I actually wanted to learn a bit more about the theory side of law, so I dealt with a bit of theory during my mock trial competitions, and obviously the practical side I dealt with when I was presenting my findings on a case. So I really wanted to delve a bit more into the theory, so I decided at college and doing my A-levels I would do an A-level in law, and that really again continued to cement that this was the career for me. I found it so fascinating. I really enjoyed it, and I actually performed so well, and I really am a big believer that if you love something you perform well in it because you can engage with it so much better. But as a result of my time in A-levels, I was offered a 2-week work experience with a firm in St Helens, which is close to by where I live, and that was fantastic. And the reason why that was fantastic was because I got to go and work with the law firm for 2 weeks. It was a criminal solicitor, so I originally had no idea between the difference of criminal and civil, and I'd had some experience in the civil side of things but no experience in criminal, so this was first-hand experience. I was shadowing a criminal solicitor who also had very key connections with the criminal barrister. I got to go to court, I got to sit in while they interviewed the potential perpetrators. I had so much one-to-one tuition with the solicitor that I was shadowing, and again, that just continued to cement that this was something I wanted to do. I liked the fact that every day was different. Every day was a challenge. I really didn't know much about law at that point in terms of the practical reality of law. But again, I found that I could do this every day. I could really come to work every day and enjoy this. And I want to further my interest in this. So what was next? And what was next for me was a law degree. And that just kind of, it's a very typical route that some law students and law professionals take, but for me it was just the natural course of my career progression. I knew that this was something I was interested in, and I wanted to continue to learn more about it. Having said that, it's so important for those people that are coming through this process at the early stages and maybe don't really understand. You don't have to do law at university in order to secure a job in a legal profession at all. There's no reason for you to do that. We have the GDL, which is the conversion course, so you could do any degree which is a qualifying degree, and subsequently do this 1 year course, which allows you to then continue on with your LPC or your SQE, whatever it is the go-to now, and then obviously do your training and subsequently become a solicitor in England and Wales. So there's absolutely no obligation to do a law degree. If it's something that you're interested in, then go ahead. But I'm always a big believer in do something, like I said earlier, that you enjoy, because you're most likely going to perform as well as possible at that. My law degree was definitely a step up, and for any person that says a law degree is not difficult, are you crazy? Because for me, it was a definite step up from A-level. But again, there's a lot of independent learning. So I think it's not just about the theory, it's about actually how you go on to learn. When I was at A-level, I had such a great support system in my tutors, and I felt like we got a lot of one-to-one with them. When you're doing any degree, there's a lot of independent learning, and there's an obligation for you guys to take on, you know, the responsibility of your own career. So having to go away and really understand those concepts that you were learning during lectures and seminars is something you do have to do. So I found that process quite challenging, adapting to those learning and teaching styles. But again, I loved my law degree, and I will definitely do a video on law degree and the things I did to study well and any tips I have in due course. But this is just a basic introduction, and obviously my law degree was a foundational step to where I am now. So following my law degree, I went on to do the LPC, and I hadn't secured a training contract. So for those that aren't familiar with the process, what was the process back then was that you would normally secure or try to secure a training contract with a firm, because they would subsequently fund your LPC, and the LPC is a short abbreviation for the legal practice course, which is a course you have to do, a 1 year or 6 month course, depending on whether you do it fast tracked or not, in order to then go on to do your training and become a qualified lawyer in England and Wales. So for me, I didn't secure a training contract through the VAC schemes applications that I put forward, and I decided it didn't matter to me. I really wanted to continue with my journey into law, so I did a master's combined with my LPC, and as a result self-funded my LPC, which I do not regret at all. The legal practice course, or the LPC as I continue to refer to it, is a sort of more practical based course. So you really start to understand how the legal theory is brought into practical reality. So when you are in the legal profession, and how you then use those concepts to really help and put a case forward. For me, I really enjoyed the legal practice course. I know some people say they don't, and I think it's very much based on your personality. It's very heavily examinated, so you do find that you are having exams quite regularly. I know the process is going to completely change with the SQE, and I will come on to the SQE in a future video, but I'm just talking about my process now and what I had to engage with in order to become a trainee solicitor here in London. So yes, the LPC was a heavily examinated course, and you have things like advocacy, legal writing and legal drafting, and they're just some examples of the practical skills that they develop with you during the course, in order so that you are in the best position to be the best trainee solicitor and subsequently future qualified solicitor as you possibly can be. I finished my LPC and decided I wanted to, and during this whole period I want to let you know that I was constantly applying to law firms, VAC schemes and training contracts, and had gotten a bit further each time, and I'll do a video on the process completely and how that was for me, and rejection and how you deal with that. But yeah, I did continually apply and didn't sadly get anything until my third application cycle. So the key point that I always want everybody that's watching this to remember is your journey is your own, your path is your own. There is no sort of ticking time bomb. You're not behind the curve if you don't secure your training contract within your first year, or of applying, or if it's your second year of your degree, there's absolutely no obligation to do that. It's obviously wonderful if you can, but actually genuinely I don't think there's many people that do secure their training contracts in their first cycle, and you'll find that you develop every single cycle and you'll learn from the mistakes that you've made. So it was during my third cycle that I secured 2 VAC schemes at 2 international law firms in the city, which I think it was my first time applying solely to London firms, because I just decided I wanted to be there. I wanted to change the scenery. That's where I needed to be for my career, and I decided to apply there, and I successfully secured 2 VAC schemes. They were virtual because it was during the pandemic, and I'll do a whole video on virtual VAC schemes for those that are interested in a couple of months' time. And after a 1-week VAC scheme, I was offered a training contract. I am now going into my 3rd seat, which is crazy to think about. The training contract just absolutely flies. But I've done 3, I'm going to be doing my 3rd seat. I've done 2 seats already. I've done real estate finance, corporate real estate and private capital, and I'm going into private equity, which I'm super excited about, which is the 2nd corporate seat. So it's going to be very intense, but I'm super excited for the challenge, and I will share more tips on how to deal with each seat rotation, how to deal with different seats and how they contrast in a couple of weeks' time. But that's my journey. That's me, how I got into law. Very brief and very quick, because I want to keep these videos as short and succinct as possible. I'm really interested to hearing your opinions on this first video, and if you're excited to learn more about my journey, much more content to come. But if you have any ideas, feel free to put them in the comments below. Please do like and subscribe to the lawcareers.net YouTube channel, and also follow me on Instagram. I have my own Instagram in which I try to share little tips into law and how you can secure training contracts and things like that, and I just share my journey and my day-to-day life as a trainee solicitor, living and working in the city. So follow that. It's at The Legal Path. I'll pop it below in the description, but looking forward to seeing you all next time.